team. This podcast is called We're All Like Other Girls, right? Like, we know this. This is not new information. I do wonder, like, what do I want the concept of this to be like? Do I want this to be like an inspirational podcast where you come and it's like, you know, those personal development ones like Tim Ferriss, Leo Skeppy, like when you go to the podcast and you're like, you leave it feeling better, or you go there because you have some sort of problem or thing that's like going on in your life. Look, my toe is literally in the camera. And you go and you like see the title and you're like, oh, that's a problem I'm experiencing. And then you leave having knowledge on that topic. Or do I want the podcast to be kind of more like, you just come for the vibe, you know? It's like when you go and see your friends, you don't go because you're like, oh, I really need to ask them about this specific thing. You kind of go just because they're there and they're your friends and you just want to hang out, and whatever you guys end up talking about, that's like the right thing to talk about, right? But I feel like whenever I go to podcast, I feel like I have to perform. I feel almost like this like voyeuristic, is it voyeuristic or exhibitionist? Whichever one of those is like the performer rather than the watching. And I feel like I have to like put on a show. So I come up with a topic and then I'm like, okay, but what's the message? Like, what's the message? What's the lesson? And I feel like if I don't have something wise or insightful to say on something, then I can't possibly come and podcast. But the people that I find most inspiring are not the people that have it all together all of the time. And I literally want this to feel like, I don't even know if I'm going to put this in because I find it boring when people talk about stuff like this, but I want this to feel like we're all just together. Like, I would love this to transcend platform and eventually become meetups or us getting together and doing things together, because all of this online stuff is so fine. Wow, this is not where I thought this episode was going to go. All of this online stuff is great, right? And it makes you feel connected, and you can make friends online. And damn, over the past few months, I've made so many friends on the internet that have become in real life friends. But that's the thing. It's like the connections you make, you almost don't want them to just stay online. Like, you want them to become in real life friends. Anyway, why did I even start talking about this? I don't know. Oh, the reason I started saying this is because I don't have anything inspirational to say right now. To be honest, I've been in the pits these past few weeks, what the ladies are coining the pits. And I just want to talk about it. I want to talk about those pits, what's going on, what I'm experiencing right now. And so if you're looking for a bit of inspiration and you want support in some area, this is probably not the episode for you. But if you just want to chat and chill and maybe find solace in your existential crisis, if you are feeling like you have no real idea what you're doing with your life, you don't really know what you want to do next, and you're just a bit like, fucking hell, we're really in this, aren't we? This life thing. Then maybe this is the episode. So first of all, before we get into the thick of it, let's do the 490 moment of the week. So my moment 490 for this week is I got Matty Healy's guitar pick at the show that I went to. And what I'm going to do is, so I recorded a podcast episode a few days ago and it was utter garbage. Like, the most of it was just me chatting shit. This episode might also be like that, but it was just so garbage I can't even bring myself to edit it. But what I did do was explain this story, and the way that I explained it I think was quite hilarious. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to insert that clip here, because I just don't think I'm going to be able to do it justice the way that I explained it. I'd like had a few glasses of wine and it was strange vibes, but it's hilarious. So I'll just insert that now. I got Matty Healy's guitar pick. I'm going to show you in the camera, but don't look at my fucking nails. Can you see that? Oh my God, don't even look at my fucking nails. Don't even fucking look at them. This is Matty Healy's actual guitar pick. Now, let me tell you the story of how I got this. I camped out. So I've really been in like my 1975 fangirl era, and it's been kind of insane. And I've been working through levels of shame around this, and I would love to do an entire episode on this, but I don't think today is that episode. But anyway, I've made a ton of friends who are 1975 fans, and it's very, very big in the 1975 fan community I think this is big in like lots of fandoms, to camp for barrier spots, to like be on the barrier. And so I decided that I wanted to camp for some of the shows while I'm out here. I have the flexibility, like I'm not really working at the moment, and by not really working at the moment I mean I'm not earning a single fucking penny at the moment, which is another level of stress. But anyway, I am basically out here traveling, have loads of free time, freelancing, podcasting, doing whatever the fuck I want, which means I have the time and the flexibility to camp on the streets to be on the barrier for a show. And so that's what I did. And so I've done it twice over the past 2 weeks. One was in San Jose. That was the first time I've ever done it, and I was on the barrier. And then this time was in Denver, Colorado, which is where I am now. So I flew out to Denver. I got to the line of people who were already camping at 6 a.m. the morning before the show, like the whole day before the show. So the show was on the Saturday. I got to the line Friday at 6 a.m. and I got number 38 in the line. I think I actually have my badge, my wristband. Number 38. But this wristband is my wristband. There we go. Number 38. And so that means I'm 38th in the line out of every single person in that venue, which I think that's like 17,000 people in that venue. It means I get to go in 38th. And so we camped all day. We like hung out on the streets. It was fucking freezing. Spent most of the day in Starbucks reading my book. And then we camped on the streets. I bought a sleeping bag. We literally camped in like the back streets of a car park. Super sketchy, but there were like 100 people of us at this point. Camped anyway, got to the venue. What they do is they line us all up beforehand. Everyone who has these wristbands who has camped overnight or has been like the first 150 people, they line us up and then they walk us into the venue. So we do this, we walk into the venue, and I have a choice. As we're walking in, I'm thinking, okay, where am I going to go? I could either be on the barrier at the edges, because I'm 38, and obviously if you're the top numbers, you kind of want to be in the center. So I'm thinking, okay, I could be on the edges, or I could go second row in the middle. And so in the spur of the moment decision, that's what I decide to do. So I go center of the stage, second row. Bearing in mind, like there's only one person in front of me, and I kind of put myself, if you think like one person here, their heads are here, my head is in the middle but behind. So I'm basically on the barrier. Like I can touch the barrier. I'm just in between two people essentially. And so we watched the show. It's fucking amazing. I'm so close to Matty, whatever. At the end of the show, they're like shit is hitting the fan. I see a pick get thrown, okay? I don't even see who throws it. It could well have not been Matty. It could be one of his guitar techs. I see a pick get thrown, but because of all the lights and the pandemonium going on, because it's the end of the show, I don't even see where it goes, and I just forget about it. Then something in me tells me to turn around. I turn around, so I pivot 180 degrees. I look down on the floor, and I see this tiny, I've even got it in a case because I'm so scared I'll lose it, this tiny little triangular thing, and it's this way round. Not both sides have Matty on. One of them just has 1975 on, and I see this, and I'm like, oh my God, that's the pick. When I tell you I never win anything, like I don't win things. I don't feel like I'm unlucky, because I feel like I get a lot of like great things in my life, but just in general for like stuff like this, like I've never got anything. Like this is not the first time I've been on the barrier. I've been like close for a lot of the shows. I just never imagine myself to be one of the people that like gets this type of shit. Okay, like I've never met the band, manifesting that though. So I look down and I see it and I'm like, oh my God, somebody's gonna see it before me. I've never moved so fast in my entire life. I swear to God, if you were witnessing me, you would have think I was like Harry Potter apparating down to the ground, because I was just like straight away, like sprinted. I dropped down, grabbed it in a fist. I picked up, I promise you this is not an exaggeration. I picked up a clump of hair in my hand. So I'm holding this pick in my hand, clump of hair in my hand. I open my palm and I see amongst the clump of hair, I see Matty on it. And when I tell you, I burst out crying. It was just the most surreal experience. And it's not even just the pick. Like, obviously the pick is great, but it was just such a fantastic night. I was surrounded by all my friends. I looked at my friend and I showed her, and she was so happy for me. And then I looked at all the other girls around me, and everyone was just so happy. And it was just, that was like my last show for a few weeks now. And so it was just like the perfect end to a perfect show. And it just kind of summarized the past 2 weeks for me, having gone to, I've seen the 1975, I think like 5 times in the past few weeks. And each one has just been such a special experience. I've just met the most incredible women doing this. And yeah, it was just a memory I'm not going to forget. All of these shows, and that pick is really a symbol of that. So I officially have something that Matty Healy has touched with his own hands. So I'm basically holding hands with Matty Healy, is what I'm trying to say. So that's like my moment, my 490 moment of this week. But let me tell you about what's been going on. So I came out to the US, as you well know. I'm currently in Colorado. Well, you don't know this specific part, I'm currently in Denver, Colorado. I am house sitting for a lovely dog and a lovely family. I'm staying in their house. Well, that's why I look like I'm staying in a beautiful home at the moment, because I am. And house sitting, I just think is such a good way to travel, because you get to stay in houses for free. So you can stay for longer. It means you get like the comforts of a house rather than staying in hotels and hostels. Why does this keep going? I just saw the camera just go really dark for some reason. Yeah, so I've been house sitting. I'm doing another house sit in Chicago very soon, but I'm here for a few more days. And my intention for coming out here was to figure out what I wanted to do next. So my expectation was to come out to the US, and novelty for me really inspires me, and I often get very inspired by new situations, and I get lots of my good ideas when I put myself in new situations. So in my mind I thought, okay, I'll come out to the US because I want to do a bit of traveling. I'll be in so many new situations, it will inspire me. I've kind of been in a phase that, that I'm like, oh, what do I want to do with my career next? Like, do I do this podcast? What do I do next? You know. And so I was like, okay, the US is going to be the perfect time for me to come and figure that out. I'm going to spend lots of time on my own, do lots of nice things. Perfect. It has not been that way at all. I have just felt so up in the air. Everything has felt so just unclear, like foggy. Everything feels so foggy. Everything feels just like meh. Like I can't get a grip I can't get a fucking grip, basically. Something just feels off. My expectation to come out here and gain clarity has not been met, which I can appreciate is fine. And I think, when you're within the forest, you can't see the trees. Is that the phrase? Yeah, like when you're like in the thick of it, you can't see like the bigger picture. And I can appreciate that there are things that I'm probably learning right now in this moment that in the future, I will look back and be like, okay, that's why I experienced that. But when you're in it, it doesn't feel like that, does it? And so I've been trying to do all the right things, like trying to do the yoga, do the meditation, try and eat healthily, try and do my creative stuff to try and make shit happen. But I've just felt meh, to be honest. And I had a bit of a realization. I was making soup earlier because it's getting colder, and I had a bit of a realization, and I recorded it in a voice note. And I feel like this is a really good place to start. So I'm just going to play the voice note. I recorded this a few hours ago, so I can't fully remember it. So I'm hoping it will spark something in me. Where is the voice notes app? Oh, there it is. I know that when I look back at this time in America, I don't want to look back and think I spent so much time worrying about how I was going to make money when I got home that I didn't appreciate and enjoy my time here. And that, I'm also cooking my soup as we do this, so there it is. I want to say that I enjoyed it and I appreciated it, especially because if I know that I want to build my career next year, and that is my thing, like I want to work towards my career, I want to settle a bit, maybe I'm going to be doing less traveling and more working, then I want to enjoy this period of my life and not only half-ass this period. And I almost feel like I can't enjoy the relaxation. I have so many books I want to read at the moment. I have so many books I want to read at the moment. I'm getting really excited about all these books I want to read. But as soon as I lay down and open a book for longer than half an hour, I start to think, God, should I be applying for jobs? Should I be looking at what's out there? Should I be building my resume? Should I be planning my podcast? Should I be strategizing my podcast so that it's more like brand specific and brands start to want to sponsor my podcast? It's just one of these things. But right now, you can't be in the same season. You can't be in every season all of the time, right? Sometimes you're in the season where you're working and you're putting the effort in, and maybe you're not doing very much travel or fun stuff, but you're kind of working towards something, right? Sometimes you're in a season where you're really creative and you're creating a lot of things and you're kind of in that very exciting season where you're putting lots of stuff out. Sometimes maybe you're just in a season where you need to relax and do the things that you just enjoy doing, like reading and walking and listening to music and going to shows, to relax the nervous system and have a good time and build these memories for when you're 90, these days where you just relax and read your books and chat to your friends and make friendship bracelets and go to coffee shops and have nice coffee for no reason. Those are the moments that can just make life feel very relaxing and very peaceful. And I think that's fine to have those as well. And what I don't want for myself is I don't want to constantly, when I'm in one phase, be only 70% in it because the other 30% is thinking, but I should be doing something else. I should be in a different phase. And so I want to work on just being in the phase that I'm in right now, which is marinating in my life, relaxing, working on enjoying the no stresses, no constraints, no pressures, no obligations. Because right now that's where I am. I have no work. I have no clients that I have to connect with. I have no partnerships or deals that I need to be at my phone, at my emails, checking. I don't have any family commitments because I'm out here and I don't have to be planning to see my parents every other weekend. I don't have I'm very, very free of constraints or tethers right now. And I want to enjoy that. I want to be able to just turn my phone off for 2 days and read books and journal and write and create and see what comes of that, with the knowledge that that is the phase that I'm in right now. And that in 3 months, maybe this phase will be completely different. I remember voice noting this and being like, okay, this is going to be the crux of the podcast today. Do you ever just feel like no matter what you do, you're just never happy? Like whenever I'm in a situation, maybe I'm in a situation where I feel discontent. So for example, I was in England, and the last few weeks I was in England, like before coming on this trip, I was like, I'm just bored. Like I'm really excited for novelty again, and I was kind of bored of the mundane. And I thought to myself, okay, when I have newness and new environments, new people, then things will be better. Then I come out here and all of a sudden I'm like, oh God, but all of this newness and I don't have anywhere to settle and I don't know what I'm doing in the next few weeks. I feel stressed about that, and I all of a sudden want the home comfort. It reminds me of the song Nothing Revealed, Everything Denied by the 1975, where he says, get somewhere but don't like it, get somewhere, change my mind, get somewhere, I don't find it, I don't find what I'm looking for. And it's kind of that idea that wherever you go, there you are. And so you think you have all of these problems, and you think like when you get somewhere else, or you go to or you do something else, you achieve something else, you're going to feel differently and things will be better, but you're always you. Like wherever you go, there you are. Surprise, surprise, I came out to the US with the intention and expectation of finding this enormous clarity with what I wanted to do. But I'm still me. I'm still me in my mind, of course, but it's just so frustrating. And I feel like such a little brat even talking about this, because I can appreciate that I'm just living a lot of people's dream, right? I am traveling. I haven't worked for a year. This entire year I haven't worked. Because I worked a lot last year and I saved up a lot of money, and I said I was going to spend this year like figuring out what I was going to do with my life. I haven't worked. I haven't took on clients or anything. So I've just had this year to explore, travel, go to shows. I've been to like Europe multiple times. Obviously, I'm now in the US. I'm living the life that most people would dream of. And yet all I'm doing is bitching about the next phase, or the fact that I don't have XYZ, or I'm worrying about the next phase. Life comes in phases. And depending on what phase of your life you're in, you're going to be prioritizing different things, and your life is going to look different. And so right now, the phase that I'm in is chill, enjoy your life, do the things that you love, because you are tether free. You have no responsibilities, you don't have kids, you don't have marriage, you don't have super strict client or jobs or anything like that. So I should be, on paper, just appreciating and enjoying this time, with the knowledge that next year is probably going to be a little bit different, and I'm probably going to be focusing more on career aspects. But all I'm doing, like I can't remember if I said it in that voice note or not, but every time I lay down and read my book, 20 minutes later, I'm thinking, God, this isn't very productive. I should be doing something else. If I put on like a 40-minute yoga class, I start to think, oh God, but I should be doing something else. Like I need to be getting up and working. What work? And it's like I'm almost obsessed with having all of the phases at once. And so I can't just be present and enjoy each phase of my life for what it is, because sometimes you're in a phase where you're just putting your head down and hustling. My sister, for example, I feel like I talk about my sister a lot as a point of reference. She is kind of getting ready to leave her job. So she's a lawyer, and she's decided that she wants to just experience some traveling, do some soul searching. And so she's getting ready to leave her job within the next year. Right now, she is in a phase of just working, putting her head down, with the knowledge that come this time next year, she will be in a very different phase. But if she, every time she went on Instagram, saw all of these travel influencers and was like, oh, my life sucks because I'm not doing this, and look at everyone doing all of these really cool things and I'm not doing that. But she will be in 1 year. But she's comparing their phase to her phase now, but they're in just two different phases of life. And I'm just I feel like I'm creating so much of my own suffering at the moment, because I am, instead of appreciating how lucky I am to be in this situation and like in this phase of my life where everything's so chill and relaxing, or it could be chill and relaxing, I'm worrying about everything else, and I'm trying to force myself to be in a phase that I'm not right now. And does this even make sense? Is this even interesting? Probably not. Like, I do just worry that I'm never going to be satisfied with where I am because I'm always focused on the next thing, or not even like the next thing, because I think that implies that there is some kind of linear progression, but it's more just the other thing. Like no matter what path you choose or whatever you choose to just, let's make it less kind of like esoteric, whatever you decide to do with your life, there are always going to be a million other things you could have decided to do and other ways you could have lived, you know? God, and isn't that fucking depressing and terrifying? And the reason I fear this is because I found a voice note on my phone from, this is when I was recording my voice notes, from what was the date? The 5th of April. So April, May, June, July, August, September, October. 6 months ago. And okay, I'll play it for you. Literally, I don't have a job and I have enough money to do anything. I can make anything I want. I can get up and go outside and do fun things. And instead, I'm sitting around bitching about my life and like I don't know what I want to do. I'm just sitting in my apartment wondering what should I do next. I'm so annoyed at myself. I can't be productive. Productive for what? I don't have a job. Why aren't I enjoying being alive? When else am I going to be 26, not needing to work and just being able to do whatever I want to do? I am going to look back at this period of time and be like, I could do anything I wanted then, and how do I want to look back at it and remember it? I spent 6 months sitting in my apartment doing nothing. Why am I doing this? So 6 months ago, I was having exactly the same thought process and problems. And I find this with my journals as well. When I go through my old journals, it's the same repeated patterns and problems over and over and over again. Maybe I need to go and see a therapist about this. I think, you know, sometimes when you try and figure things out for yourself too much, it just becomes an absolute fucking nightmare in your head. I recorded a TikTok about this, but I didn't post it. I think it can be kind of a burden when you become, like, I feel kind of obsessed with the idea of alignment and living a life for when I'm 90. And the idea that I want to build a life and live my life in a way that when I look back as a 90-year-old, I can say, yes, I did it all. And not being like, I have to do absolutely everything, but I just want to look back and say all of the things that I wanted to do, I did. I appreciated life. I made the most of things. I don't regret anything. There's nothing I wish I'd done differently, or there's nothing else I wish I'd done. And I can just be proud of the life that I lived when I look back on it. But I feel like obviously that's such a great way to live, and I think it's such a good mantra and it helps me so much. And it helps guide a lot of my decision making. But I think it can be quite a plague sometimes, which is what I'm finding right now. It feels quite crippling, the idea of in every moment I'm being presented with small decisions that are small on their own, but that compound into something big. You know how when something happens where like small tiny things happen and you look back and you're like, wow, that one tiny little decision or that one tiny action that I did or made or had influenced every single thing after that. And that really like massively influenced my life. Even like relationships, for example, if I didn't take that job, I wouldn't have met XYZ. Me and my ex-boyfriend, we met on like a random night out. But the way that that man influenced my life the 3 years after that, it was like, cool, if I hadn't made that one decision to go on that night out, then we wouldn't have never met, potentially. And so I think I have this knowledge now, and I've got so many examples of things like that, like, God, if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have done this. And I think we all have examples of that. But that I find quite scary sometimes, because then I'm like, God, every decision I make right now, even the finite ones, like which place in the US I should travel to next, or do I say yes or no to this thing? Do I choose a podcast or do I do something else? I can just, there's almost a layer on top. I feel like I'm just watching my life almost play out in like a mirror ball, not a mirror ball, like a snow globe. It's like my life is happening there, and I can also, and I'm watching it happen as well. And so I'm almost watching myself making these decisions, and I'm so hyper aware that any decision I make could have I was going to say catastrophic, but I mean that in like good and bad, just like an enormous impact on my life. And I think I'm just a bit scared. Like I'm a bit scared of everything, to be honest. Oh, I think my battery's about to die. Hold on. Yeah, to be honest, I think I do just feel a bit scared about not making the most of my life. And I feel like that in every situation. And I feel like I'm almost every situation I'm in, I'm kind of 70% present and 30% thinking, am I making the most of this? Should I be doing something differently? Is there something better I should be doing? And this is just such an endless cycle. And I think this line of thought is so unproductive because, one, of course, there's always other things you could be doing. Like I said before, like there are 1,000 ways you could live your life, 1,000,000 trillion ways you could live your life, and you can't do them all. It's like you can have anything, but you can't have everything. You know, or you can have everything, but you can't have everything all at once. But I just find that so scary, don't you? Like, I think it's scary to be like, oh, this is the youngest I'll ever be. And this is probably like the freest I'll ever be in terms of commitments and responsibilities. And am I making the most of it? And am I going to look back at this time and wish I'd done things differently? Or even like my time here, I've been in this house in Colorado since Monday, so like 5 days. And I even feel like, fuck, have I made the most of it? Like I should have been doing more yoga. I should have been doing more this. I should have been doing more this. I guess like that's just it. Like I wish I had some sort of like answer, but I guess if I had an answer, there wouldn't be these questions. I read this Pinterest quote and it was, she's never where she is. She's only inside her head. She's never where she is. She's only inside her head. And I can relate to that a lot. This has not been inspiring at all, and I hope that's okay. This was just a get-together chat. Let's leave you with a question. Wait, is there anything else I want to say on this? I guess it's like kind of embarrassing to be like, especially as someone who presents as such a I just whacked my face with my microphone. As someone who presents as such a confident person and someone who like knows what she wants, go-getter, like live your best life, like live, love, laugh type gal, which I feel like I do most of the time, I think it's kind of embarrassing to be like, God, what do I want? Whatever I do, I'm not satisfied. And that's also like not super positive to bring to the internet, but I suppose being a girl is not always positive and fantastic. Being a human being is not always positive and inspirational, and this is just like another phase. So I wrote this question down. Let's finish with a question. I wrote this question down, and this is what I did. This is what I do when I feel overwhelmed. I asked myself, and I voice noted myself on a walk this morning, and that's where this came from. It is, what problem, if solved, would have the biggest impact on my life right now? This is a two-part question. So that was the first part. What problem, if solved, would have the biggest impact on my life right now? And I think that really helps kind of get clear on, okay, what's going on, especially when you start to feel these kind of like existentially questions. I think it can really feel like everything is wrong. I was listening to Goes Without Saying, and I think Wing said, whenever you're kind of in a rut or if you're in a bit of a funk, you start to write it into your existence. And I loved that, like that phrase I wrote down, like she said, you kind of write into your existence that like this pit, like even though this is just a phase and I'll probably wake up tomorrow and feel absolutely perfect. And you know, things happen so quickly, phases, you come and go out of these like existential crises, and then things feel amazing and then you're back in it, and it can change so quickly. But we're so ready to, as soon as things don't feel 100% clear or brilliant, we just all of a sudden decide that our entire life is terrible and everything is bad and we've never done a single good thing in our entire lives, which is obviously ridiculous. And so this question comes up for me when I can't really pinpoint what's going on. So I think this really helps. So what problem, if solved, would have the biggest impact on my life right now? And then what I love to do when I'm being a little bitch is write down 20 solutions. And 20 seems like a lot, but I think it's really important that you do 20 and don't just do like 4, because it starts creative thinking. I think I probably talked about this before actually, but I think when you write down 20 answers for something, and this could not just be problems, it could be 20 of anything, it gives you breadth and it kind of forces you to think creatively and outside of the box. So like if that was the problem of like, okay, what the fuck do I want to do with my life? What would 20 possible solutions be to figuring that out? And then you just get yourself into solution-based thinking rather than little bitch-based thinking. God, do you know what? I really think I hate my hair at the moment. My fringe, I don't know whether it's like the way I dried it. I think I need to cut it. I just feel like I'm not loving my appearance at the moment. Anyway, girls, thanks so much for listening. I do feel like this was like a therapy session. Hopefully I'll be able to bring something more inspirational to you at the moment. If you're listening to this till the bitter end, Do you prefer the shorter, inspired, more concise episodes, or do you just like episodes like this where we're just chatting and we can just hang out? Hopefully next episode, I'm hopefully going to record another episode over the next few days while I'm still in this house, and then I'm heading to Chicago to do another house sit. We'll see you then, see what else we get up to. Live your life for when you're 90, but don't let it be so crippling for you, all right? You're just a girl after all. Like me. See ya.